Walt Disney is best remembered as a visionary producer, innovator, and the father of modern animation. But there was a brief period in the 1930s when Disney tried his hand at directing, and it didn't go well. In fact, one short film was such a disappointment to him that he completely disowned it and abandoned directing altogether. That short was The Golden Touch, released in 1935. A golden fable that fell flat. The Golden Touch is a reimagining of the classic myth of King Midas set in a whimsical medieval world. In the story, a greedy king wishes that everything he touches turns to gold. A magical elf grants the wish, with a caveat that the king must give up all worldly goods. The king agrees, only to quickly realize the downside of his newfound power. Even his food turns to gold, leaving him unable to eat. Desperate, he begs to have the curse lifted and ends the story penniless, but finally able to enjoy a simple hamburger. The short plays like a typical silly symphony, full of light music, stylized animation, and a moral lesson about greed. Visually, it used techniques that were quite impressive for 1935, including attention to shadows, a shimmering golden palette, and attempts at depth to make the characters appear more three-dimensional. On the surface, it had the makings of another charming Disney cartoon. But for Walt, it became a personal embarrassment, a rare Disney misfire. Although The Golden Touch had a solid premise and an imaginative look, it received mixed reviews upon release. Critics noted that the animation felt unusually flat compared to previous silly symphonies, with characters seeming to float over static backgrounds. The main character, King Midas, came off as stiff and lifeless, difficult to animate fluidly and hard for audiences to connect with emotionally. His selfishness and sluggish pacing made him unsympathetic, and moments in the film even suffered from timing issues and inconsistent coloring. These flaws, minor as they might seem today, were devastating to Walt Disney. After returning to directing for the first time in 5 years, Disney saw The Golden Touch as an opportunity to refine his skills ahead of his upcoming feature film projects. Instead, the film's reception crushed his confidence. Reportedly, he became so ashamed of the short that he forbade his team from mentioning it. He even refused to talk about it himself, and not long after, he stepped away from directing permanently to focus solely on producing. A perfectionist's breaking point. Disney's reaction might seem extreme, but it reveals the immense pressure he placed on himself and those around him. The studio was in the midst of rapid expansion, transitioning to Technicolor and laying the groundwork for what would become Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There was no room for error. Every short, every frame, was meant to set a new standard. The Golden Touch, in Disney's eyes, did not. Walt was not one to give pep talks or shower his team with praise. He motivated through high expectations and rewarded hard work with bonuses, not flattery. By all accounts, Disney was a demanding boss, and The Golden Touch exposed a rare moment of vulnerability, a reminder that even legends stumble. Failure that sparked greatness. Ironically, Disney's dissatisfaction with The Golden Touch may have pushed him toward the path he was truly meant for. Rather than continue directing, he poured his energy into producing, growing his studio, and steering Disney's creative direction. 2 years after The Golden Touch, he released Snow White, the first full-length animated feature, which became a landmark in cinema and secured Disney's place in history. Today, The Golden Touch is a little-remembered piece of Disney's early catalog. But for historians and fans, it marks a critical turning point, the moment Walt Disney realized that greatness didn't mean doing it all himself. Instead, it meant building a team and guiding them toward an ambitious vision. Sometimes, failure isn't the end. It's the start of something even bigger.